down whatever it is that we might be carrying that might be a little heavy, and just come be here. And so I'm going to piggyback on something David just did. Spirit never fails. Can you say that again? Spirit never fails. And I'm going to do a little something like I used to do at Unity of Music City. Some of your faces aren't agreeing with that statement. Because you're going, well, what about? And what about? And what about? And so the other thing, I will share a secret with you all. When I do a talk, I do it for myself. You all just get to hear. It's like you come into my house and you hear what I'm ruminating with, because I've had some challenges in my family over the last month. Some challenges, big ones. I've had a son that's gone through a divorce, devastating for him still. I can't hardly talk about it because it makes him cry. And he's got a 4-year-old daughter to raise. And that's not anything that a mother wants to have to try to help him with. Even though I want to help him, I can't fix it for him. Does that make sense? And so Thanksgiving was difficult for our family. And if some of you that know me looked on Facebook, we ended up having Thanksgiving together with the boy's daddy and his new wife and her children and everything. And it was the most beautiful Thanksgiving that I've ever had. The most beautiful. Yes, thank you. And it's because I allowed it to happen. Because I allowed it to happen. Now, yes, those other people had to allow something to happen too, but I had to go, okay, this is okay. Thanksgiving doesn't have to be the way it used to be. It's okay. The other thing I'm struggling with is my 91-year-old mother is going through a lot of physical and mental challenges, and to make a very long story short, she has asked me to back away. Back away. And as I shared with my sweet friend Larry this morning, I kept thinking, what are people going to think if I back away? And of course, Larry very patiently said, what people? And then I walk in here this morning and I sit on the back row like I always do, listening to the music and kind of getting in rhythm with the flow of the morning. And I heard these words, at this table, everyone is welcome. At this table, everyone is seen. At this table, everybody matters and no one falls between. And at this table, you can say whatever. And at this table, you can speak your mind. And at this table, everything is given and there's love for everyone. I actually also heard a verse that said, at this table, there's no judgment. And when I heard that sung, I went, oh, the judgment is in me. I'm judging myself. Because I have this belief that there's something out there that says, thou shalt make sure you take care of your mother till she dies, even if she doesn't want you to. And I'm like, okay, now what does that mean? I'm not sure in this now moment what that means. And so my talk today is about being in tune with the infinite. And I read this right out of your Science of Mind magazine, so I want you just to hear this. What if enlightenment isn't something we study endlessly to achieve some magical, far-off destination we strive for? What if we can retrain our thoughts and our emotional reactions to harness the power of this present moment and reside in the perfection of our essential nature? Wow. First time I read that, I went, whoop, that's a gift to me. And I read it, and I read it, and I read it, and I went, what does that mean for me in this now moment? And how do I do that? Well, then I love your magazine because I would flip through it and go, okay, what's this person saying about this? And what is this person saying about this? Because I don't know if you know what the front of your cover this month is, but it kind of took me off kilter. I was like, what in the world is that? Because it's about the sacred and the mundane and the profane. And I was like, oh, what's that? And then I had to remember that there was a book that I loved and a person at the Unity Ministerial School by the name of Walter Starkey that wrote a book, It's All God, the Flowers and the Fertilizer. And I went, okay. So now that I'm sitting sort of in the middle of the fertilizer, how do I create something different for me out of that? And so then I read something by Elizabeth Chanty, which is a CSL minister. And she said, I believe we can create daily routines that are so loving, that we can become clear channels knocking down our conditioning, and we can deal in a peaceful, joyful state all the time. Oh, can I do that? Can I? In the situation that I find myself in right now, can I do that? Is that possible? Because you know what stops me? Me. My vibrational energy sometimes. Anybody else get kind of off kilter with your own vibrational energy and get off in the bushes over on the side of the road in the mud? Anybody else do that occasionally? And then you go, how'd I get here? Well, it was that person's fault because they said the wrong thing. I mean, you know, my mother said, I want you to back up and back away and not have anything to do with me. And I said to a 91-year-old mother, how are you going to get to the doctor? I'll get a cab. I believe that I can create a daily routine that is so loving that I can become a clear channel, knocking down our conditioning, and I can dwell in a peaceful, joyful state. Do I believe that? So, I'm a big proponent in the law of attraction. You've just had a class here. I spoke about the law of allowing last time. And I believe that what I put out there comes back. It's reciprocal. And so when I find myself in a situation where things feel kind of icky and I feel like I'm sitting in a pile of something that is not pretty, I go, okay, how did this situation come to me? Because I believe Spirit never fails. But what I do believe is sometimes in my humanness, I put the wrong situation, the wrong something. It's like I need to do a little tweaking. Do you know what I mean? It's like I'm not a clear channel in this moment. My station is a little bit off kilter. Does anybody remember the old days when you rode in the car and you tried to tune up your radio? We used to drive to Florida when I was little. And that was before the interstates. And we tried to listen to the radio, and then that station would kind of, you know, and it's like you tried to tune it up and remember that? Some days that's what it feels like on the inside of me. Anybody understand that? Some days I'm going, whoa. And I go, what was that? Where'd that come from? Well, if Spirit never fails, then here's my belief, and you all don't have, remember, you can do file 13 if I say something that offends you. But, you know, the deal is some days Spirit's going to respond to that. Because it's just a give and take of energy, right? You hear where I'm going with this? So I have to be a vibrational match to the thing that I'm seeking. Can you hear that again? I have to be a vibrational match to that thing that I am seeking. I'm not seeking, I promise. That's not it. So I have to get clear on that, but how do I get clear on that? Well, I have to create a practice where I'm willing to change. Have you ever found yourself in this place, but you just held on to it? Like my friend Jamie says, who I'm so honored you're here today, like a hair in a biscuit. Just hold on to it. Because I think if I do it longer and harder and louder, something's going to change. Don't we? Instead of going, I need to tune in to something that's different than this. Just tune in to a different channel. And so I have to be willing to listen. I have to be willing to feel. I can promise you that the first place that I feel before I even realize, I've got off kilter, is right here. And sometimes I feel like I've been kicked in the gut, or sometimes I feel like I'm going to throw up. And it's like I know there's something wrong. There's something not right here, and I need something. And when I'm ready, something comes through. I want to tell you a little story about something that happened when I got my mother to the rehab place. She was in the hospital for a week. She fell. Didn't break anything, thank heavens, but she had been very sick, and they found out that her blood pressure was dropping. Anytime she would get up and try to walk, her blood pressure was dropping. And so they put her in the hospital for a week, and then she was in rehab for 2 weeks. And when she was ready to go to rehab, we left the hospital at 3 o'clock on a Friday, Centennial Hospital, downtown Nashville, 3 o'clock. You can only imagine. And the place that she was going to was at the furthest end of Nashville, out Murfreesboro Road. It was a beautiful location, but we had to get all the way over there. I didn't get there with her till about 4:15. And I got her set up. My son was there to help. And I said to myself, I'm driving to the river, come hell or high water. I'm getting somewhere where I can be peaceful for a minute. It's a 3-hour drive. I also knew that I was going to be driving some of that in the dark on backwoods country roads with no light. I don't do that anymore. I used to, but I don't do it anymore. And so I'm driving on the interstate, and I'm watching the sunset, and all of a sudden, I just said, I need some help here. I've got a little fear about driving in this darkness, especially when I get off the interstate. And do you know what happened? I kid you not. The clouds split, and the full moon shone right at me, and all of a sudden I smelled my dad's cologne, and he giggled, and he was right there in the car with me. And all I said is, I give thanks for that, because there's never going to be another day like that day. But I had to say, I need something outside of this, because I was going, it's going to be dark, and I'm going to be driving, and I'm scared, and what happens if I break down? Anybody else's mind do that sometimes? And I said, I've got to tune up here. I got to remember who I am. I've got to remember my connection to the infinite, to all that is. And so I just said, I need some help here. And in about 2 or 3 seconds, that moon just pierced itself right through the clouds. And I was like, oh, thank you. And then all of a sudden, I heard my dad giggle, and I smelt his cologne. And I said, thank you. And he was there with me all the way home. It's that simple when we remember. It's not that simple when we forget. So I want to read you one of the things Ernest Holmes says that you believe. Those of you who have behinds in the seats here, this is what you say you believe, okay? I'm just going to read it to you. Our intuitive and spiritual nature, we believe in the direct revelation of truth. The direct revelation of truth through our intuitive and spiritual nature, and that anyone can become a revealer of truth who lives in close contact with the indwelling. Huh. Is that not what kind of an experience I had on the road that day? So, think about your life. You believe in the direct revelation of truth. The direct revelation, not that you have to go out to some priest or you have to listen to me go blah, 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 or anything else. You believe in the direct revelation of truth. Through your intuitive and your spiritual nature. And it's not just for some people, you know, that person can do it because, you know, they're real smart, or that person can do it because they pray every day, or that person can do it because they do yoga and they do the perfect poses or whatever. It can happen for anyone. Anyone can be a revealer of truth who lives in close contact with the indwelling God. Wow. So how do I do that? I have to be willing to be in tune, which means I have to be a vibrational match. Now, yes, I'm in this human body. You all are in human bodies, and sometimes we get wonky, all that stuff. Static, sometimes. And so I just have to remind myself, I need a tune-up. I need to breathe. And I need to get back into alignment. And then there's two other things I have to remember. I have to be willing to listen or pay attention. I could have driven in the car that day for I don't know how long and not paid any attention to the moon. Of course, it was pretty big. And I could have gone, oh, that's silly. That wasn't my daddy. I don't know what that was. But I was willing in that moment because I said, I need some help here. Do you realize you can say that? And that it's okay? I'm in the middle of this conundrum, and I know that I know the answers. I've studied all of this stuff. I've read all the religious science books. I've read all of the manuals that I can read, and I'm still experiencing I need some help here. That's all it takes, because that's a willingness. You understand that in that moment, you've broken down all the walls of, I can do this myself. I can be a big girl. I can drive all the way in the dark. It's all going to be okay. I'm going to be fine. I need some help here. And in that moment, Spirit revealed to me that I was fine. And that I always had all the help I needed if I just asked. Sometimes we're afraid to ask, aren't we? Ask, and it will be given unto you. Seek, and you'll find. Knock, and the door will be opened unto you. Wow. The other thing that I have to be willing to do is be guided by whatever appears for me. Now, it was pretty simple for me. There was a big, huge moon that was guiding me, and it was there all the way home. And I gave huge thanks for it. When I drove down Blackwelder Lane and pulled into my driveway, I was thinking, thank you for helping me get home all the way. So what are the things that you notice in your life that are there that remind you? Because the other thing I will tell you is that I have to begin to do a practice that I've been teaching and using in my life and using with my clients for years and years. Notice what you're noticing. How many of you can walk through a whole day and have no idea that there was anything there to notice? Because you're just so used to what you've got there. And it's like, What's going on beyond what I think is the normal average stuff that are going on? What can I notice about myself? What can I notice about the environment? How do I notice what I'm noticing? How do I do that? I have to become an observer of myself even. And paying attention to my own body, because I believe that we all have more power and possibilities and abilities to be in alignment with this infinite power than we have any idea about. We just forget to say, I need some help here. I need some help here. You know, just because I can recite all the tenets of religious science, or I could recite off to you the 5 unity principles, does not mean that I use them all the time. I have some practitioners going, yes, because sometimes I think I know all of this. I've learned all of this. I've got awards on the walls from all this. People come to me, so I will remind them of all this. Surely, right? But we are human. We are human beings in this world. We also are spirit, but there's a wonkiness there at times, is there not? It's like, how do I be in this world and be a human being and be not of it and know that I'm a part of spirit all the time? And all I have to do is go, I'm going to breathe, and I'm going to be one with all of that. You know, it's kind of like Sunday morning. Most of you know I come in an hour early or so because I want to hear all of this up here. And yes, it's always beautiful, and sometimes things have to be tuned and tweaked. Sometimes. Right? Anybody else in here ever tried to perform and not tune your guitar or tune your whatever? Or get your voice tuned up and ready to go? Bless y'all, that's early in the morning to sing. It's like, okay, I have to get in tune, but I also have to have done my practice before time. There's the kicker. Jamie, my friend out here, is somebody that I have sung with for, seems like 3 million years, but I have no idea. And we used to say, people have to pay their dues. You know, there's a lot of us here that probably can sing in the shower, or turn a radio on and sing with a song in the car. It sounds really good, but that's somebody else singing, not you. You know that, right? And so, you know, when you turn that off and then you're just singing, you're like, it doesn't sound the same. The same thing happens with principles until we begin to put them into practice and use them and use them and use them and use them. And know when something feels out of whack and go, okay, I need to use that principle. I've loved learning your principles since I've been speaking here because they've made a difference in my life. And I know that if they can make a difference in my life, because I was one of those old unity ordained ministers that, you know, was not 100% into all of this, and now I'm into all of this, and I'm like, look at what's changed within me in 2.5 years. It works when you work it, right, David? So, what I want to do is give you a little bit of an experience of the way that I tune up. If I had my druthers, I would lay on a massage table and get a massage and have a Reiki master do all of that with me. But some days I don't have that in my pocket. And so I do my own tune-up within my own body like this. I just ask you to close your eyes for a minute. And I have you first to pay attention to your root chakra. And say these words softly within yourself. I am safe. I am secure. I am safe. I am secure. I am grounded, and I am standing in the truth that I know. And I am trusting the goodness of life as I make choices that are good for me. I am safe. Then I move up to my sacral chakra. And I say, I am creative. And I am open to all possibilities, all possibilities. And I can create something brand new in this moment because there's never going to be another day like this day. And I'm passionate about my creation. I am creative. Then I move up to my area of the solar plexus, and I know I am strong and I am courageous. I am fully me, I am authentic, and I am worthy of love and kindness, and I choose what's best for me. I live the authentic life. And then I move up to my heart chakra. I am love. I am loved. And I am loving. And I am open to love in my life. I allow my heart to tune to that love. I love. I am loved. And I am loving. And I move to my throat area. I am expressive. I allow myself to speak my truth. I allow myself to speak my truth because there is no judgment at the table. I can be open, clear, honest, and respectful in my communication. I am expressive, and I allow myself to speak my truth. Then I go to my third eye, right in the middle of your forehead. I am connected. I'm connected to inner guidance, and I listen to the deepest wisdoms that I allow to flow through. I listen and take in wisdom shared, and I trust my intuition to take in what is mine. I am connected to inner guidance and the deep wisdom of the infinite. And then to the crown of the head, that place that is connected to all infinite energy that is flowing down into our crown and all the way down through all of our chakras and back out the bottoms of our feet and blessing Mother Earth. I am grateful. I am divine. I am a part of this infinite flow, and I allow the divine infinity to tune me up with each breath I take. I am divine. And in this moment, we breathe into each area, knowing that we have done a tune-up, and that we believe that through this tune-up, the direct revelation of truth will happen for us. and so it is.
Welcome to the Sunday service at CSLN. We are a welcoming and inclusive community of inspired individuals caring for and about each other and the entire planetary family. The Center for Spiritual Living Nashville offers spiritual tools for anyone seeking a more fulfilled and meaningful life through a deeper connection with a higher power or universal truths. Be sure to subscribe below if you enjoy our programs.